Damn.
Also, do I sound better right now? I listened to the last video and it sounded like I was underwater. So now I'm using my AirPods instead of my camera microphone.
I think it sounds good.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I was going back to edit it and it was just horrible. Nobody's in here yet, are they? No, nobody's in here. Let's get this. Here we go.
Oh shit! I didn't even know we live. I just seen it in the top left.
Did I? Week 2 recap. Let's fix that first of all. Save changes. All right, week 2 recap. We got it. Copy link address. Let's get this in the Discord. What tweet did you send me?
Marvin Mims.
Dude, I was not complaining. Gave me some nice points for my Russell Wilson.
5 routes. 5 routes is all he ran. And that kind of leads to my point that his stats carried Russell Wilson's stats.
Hey, I'm not complaining.
No, yeah, it made you some money. Let's do some calculations.
All right, got that posted. I think. Posted the wrong link. That's what we want. All right, let's get this thing going now. You ready?
Yeah.
What is up, everybody? Big Sunday slate, week 2 in the books. We had some great reads during the preview episodes before. We're going to go over a little bit of those and look forward to Monday Night Football. So hope you guys enjoy the episode. We're at the intro run through. I forgot to make the banners. So first doing Panthers versus Saints. And then what's the other game? Cleveland
and Pittsburgh. And you have the coverages all 4 ran last week? Like their top ones?
Yeah. So okay. Panthers and Steelers both ran a bunch of zone. Saints and Browns ran a bunch of man. Panthers is mainly cover 3 and cover 6. I'll check the other ones while we're talking a little bit too.
Okay.
All right. All right. We'll get this thing going now. After a great Sunday, we're hoping we can carry it over to Monday Night Football this week. We don't have one, but we actually have 2 games. We're going to start off with the Panthers and the Saints. We got Derek Carr, new quarterback of the Saints, going against rookie first overall pick, actually, Bryce Young. I think me and JJ both think this is going to be the more competitive game, but I think we both have a clear favorite. So I'll let JJ speak his side first.
Yeah, so looking at the game, obviously we've seen that J.C. Horn is out for Carolina. Tennessee in week 1 really could have who did they play?
Tennessee in week 1?
Tennessee week 1 was Saints. Yeah. Yeah, the Saints really, we know they have a solid defense. They really could have gave up a lot of yardage, but obviously when you got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, he's going to miss a lot of throws. And I mean,
DeAndre Hopkins had like a 44% target rate. Like he was thrown to DeAndre Hopkins when he was double covered with like he did not win the route, but he was like, all right, DeAndre's over there somewhere and just chucked some inaccurate pass. It was
yeah.
ridiculous.
And then back to Carolina, their defense, they're gonna be giving up a lot of air yards. I think the Saints are gonna air it out against them. Who they play week 1 as well?
The Saints?
The Carolina, it was Atlanta, right?
Atlanta. Atlanta,
Atlanta
yeah.
didn't throw very much, obviously,
No, it was the
but
Bijan show. Bijan and Algier.
yeah, obviously we saw Kyle Pitts run open all game that day. So, in my opinion, it's gonna be a lot of heavy passing in this game. You say Carolina runs a lot of
Lots
cover
of cover three.
3, yeah,
In week one they ran 73% cover three, which is more than double the average league rate, both all of last season and across week one. And then they ran where is it? 10% cover six, which is 2% above league average. Everything else is below average. So 84% of their players consisted of mainly cover three and a mixed bag of cover six in there.
yeah,
Both are zone coverages, which for those who don't know, zone coverages generally lead to higher pass completion percentages for the quarterbacks, but some more conservative in terms of like yards per pass attempt. Like it limits big plays a little bit more.
yeah. And especially when you look at cover 3, you're gonna be looking to target a lot of your outside or your best receivers. So it's probably gonna be a lot of Michael Thomas and Chris Olave tonight. But you had some interesting on Chris Olave.
Yeah, so I'll put up here. I'll share my screen real quick. All right, you guys can see that. If we look at post week 6 last year, we can limit it to last year as well. We don't have to look at the limited share this year. Chris Olave's numbers are actually not that great versus cover 3 and cover 6. His target share is only 25.8, which ranks 19th, and his yards per route run is 1.9, which is very low for Chris Olave, especially with somebody with an ADOT as high as his. 12.6, again, that's very unusual for him. If we mix in, or if we look at all the other coverages that he might go against, we'll say all of man, remove these two, go here. Forgive my Wi-Fi, guys. Even with the Ethernet cable, it doesn't like to work with me. So his yards per route run goes up almost 1. His ADOT goes up about 2 yards, and his target share goes up about 5%. Again, the quarterback is different, so we don't know how sticky those stats are going to be. I'm not going to go and vouch for any Olave unders or anything like that, but it is something of note because everybody loves Chris Olave. Everybody wants to take his overs. He's a great player.
And they probably
But
will. A lot of people will take his overs tonight. But
100%. So, but just proceed with caution. If it were me personally, since it is a heavy zone scheme, I might lean receptions over receiving yards if you were to take him. But do what you will with the information we're giving you, of course. J.C. Horn being out also makes a big difference. But it is worth noting that the new Carolina defensive coordinator is coming from the Broncos last season, who also ran heavy cover 3 and cover 6. So it's not like week 1's numbers aren't going to be sustainable. It probably does carry over. As far as Derek Carr goes, I actually have not looked into his numbers versus these coverages. I'm pretty sure it's really bad, actually, now that I think about it. Me and Alex Caruso, we were looking into him last year again for Chris Olave and I think a Michael Thomas prop. And he was way worse than we expected him to be, to say the least. So look at 2022. Again, new offense and everything, but we use data where we can. It's not like we can go in blindly when we talk about this stuff.
And you want to have yourself have a full picture, essentially, so you can kind of cross things out that you don't like or
exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to play around with data that might be conflicting. That's my thing. So when a lot of people ask me about a prop that I didn't post and they'll say, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, there's this piece of data, but it also conflicts with this other thing that I've seen. So that's why I stayed away from it. It's not necessarily saying you should or shouldn't take it. It's just I like things that are a little more surefire where everything points the same direction. So
Yeah.
Derek Carr, versus cover 3 and cover 6, had a 61.5 completion percentage. You can see the tier that falls into: Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, Danny Dimes, Davis Mills, Carson Wentz. Not exactly the elite type of company that you want to be in right there. We can check yards per attempt. Not too low, not too high, 7.7. I don't know what else we can look at here. Again, it's new team, new defensive coordinator. We can check where the Saints quarterbacks were on this list too, with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston for some of the season. Both also weirdly low. Jameis Winston 64.4% at 33rd or 34th highest. And I don't know where Dalton is now, but Dalton did pretty well. So it might work in Derek Carr's favor. We don't know yet. We can see how much he went up against it in week 3 as well, or week 1. And it's going to be a small sample size, but he didn't even log 10 snaps versus that coverage. So we're going to throw that out the window. And we're basically flying blind with Derek Carr here. Let's see. 7 snaps, 5 attempts, 4 completions. So very limited sample size, but we're just here to give you guys the information you need to make your decisions. But because of that, I'm staying away from all Carr and Olave props. I wouldn't be opposed to taking Michael Thomas props just because we all made fun of him years ago for being the slant king. So being a zone beater fits right into his bill. I'll pull up his reception perception too from years past so you can get an idea of how elite he actually was versus man coverage. But I don't know if you have anything to add on to those pieces of data.
You said Carolina plays a decent amount of cover 6 as well, right?
They're like 11%, so it's slightly above
11%,
average.
slightly above average. Okay. But to put that in perspective, that does take away the deep ball. At least that's the purpose of cover 6.
Yeah.
Which
It
is
wants to keep everything
Olave.
in front of you.
Yeah.
And cover 3, generally, the reason teams play it so much more than other schemes is you can disguise a lot and you can also manipulate it a lot. So you can show it in a lot of different ways. It's not just cover 2, you play too high and then the rest knows exactly where they are. It's a little bit different. So this is 2022. So Michael Thomas was not good against zone in 2022, but he was not good in general in 2022. I think he was still playing through that injury for like 2 or 3 games, then went out. Let's see if there's a different year that we can look at, preferably 2020 and before. Because he looked pretty good in week 1. Here we go, 2020 player profile. I am a subscriber. What are we doing here, Matt? I only get to look back at 2021. All right, we'll ignore that. But Michael Thomas, very good versus zone for anybody who doesn't know. I can check PFF. How about that? I don't know if I can share my screen if I look at PFF, but Michael Thomas was good versus everything for those who don't know. But being a zone beater, coming in the more intermediate routes against cover 3 and cover 6, it's kind of exactly what you're looking for. If I'm playing a Saints receiver, I'm probably playing Michael Thomas. His lines kind of jumped up after a good week 1. I think it jumped up to 51.5. You can check there. 50.5. 4 receptions. I'd take that 4 receptions all day without thinking twice. What was his yards per? I think he had 1 big reception and 2 like gimme ones in week 1. So if Carolina's going to limit the deep ball, I don't know how often. It's not very likely he gets 3 receptions and 51 yards. It's way more likely he goes 4 receptions for 45.
Yeah.
So you get that push potential, and then if you're on books, you can go ahead and take the 50.5 because on the other side, I don't think he's going to get 5 receptions and not hit that receiving yards line. So prize picks take 4.0 receptions. On books, take the yards. I'm going to check what the juice is on his receptions at 3.5 before I confirm that. But Rashid Shaheed, I don't know what his lines are at. I'll check on that in a second.
That one's going to be very intriguing, in my opinion.
He's always fun. All right, so Michael Thomas plus 130 over 4.5, minus 166 under 4.5. And then his receiving yards, 50.5 juiced under 50.5. So if you're on prize picks and want to take the yards, you can wait for that bump down. His alt receiving yards. Nothing there really. You can take 50 plus at minus 125. I'd take that. Might ladder up to 75. Take the all line at plus 250 as well. You can do that for Michael Thomas. But I don't really want to play the third receiving option on an offense where their quarterback's only going to complete 60% of his passes. And I don't want to take the deep bet against the cover 3, cover 6 offense. What's Jamal Williams at? He's probably the only other one I'd consider taking in that Saints offense.
Let's see.
9.5 receiving yards, 58.5 rushing yards, 1.5 receptions. Do you know what his route share was and targets per route run in week 1?
I can check it right now.
That 1.5 receptions could be a good target, especially when we saw. I mean, to be fair, it is Bijan, so I don't know how much weight I want to put on that week 1. But Bijan did catch a lot of passes versus Carolina. I think it was 5.
Let's see if it wants to load.
I'm going to cut this silence out, so go ahead and take your time.
Yep. Let's see. Sometimes it does not want to filter.
Are you on PFF?
No.
Check PFF while you're looking at that. Maybe it'll go quicker. Utilization report.
Okay, so he ran 20 routes, which was 5th on the team. The only other running back that ran routes was Tony Jones at 5.
Tony Jones, okay.
So Jamal Williams had a 10%
6.3.
target per route run.
Oh, 6.3% target share. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't love that as much as I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
70% rush share is pretty nice, though.
That is, and he'll be doing a lot of that.
The only thing that I don't love about that is this is kind of the process that we've been using the first 2 weeks, and it's been doing pretty well. The Panthers' secondary is going to be a lot worse than their front 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to make more sense as long as the game doesn't get out of hand where they're winning by like 20, it's going to make more sense for them to rely on the passing game and have a higher passing play percentage than running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much I'd love Jamal Williams. If I were to take him, I'd probably take his fantasy score just so you have that receiving potential.
So they like their man gap concepts. Let's see.
So I'd rather target that secondary, especially without JC Horn, rather than attacking the front 7 for Carolina. So if I'm playing anybody on the Saints, probably Michael Thomas.
And Carolina on 8 attempts allowed 80 yards on man gap concepts. That is hilarious. They averaged 10 yards per carry.
Jesus, man.
But their success rate versus the zone concept was pretty low. 23%. 17 carries for 51 yards.
For who?
Carolina on their defense.
Against their defense, you mean?
Yeah, against their defense.
Okay, that makes more sense. Last season, Rashid Shaheed 10% or 18% targets per route run, 2.7 yards per route run. Let's check week 1. I'm pretty sure he had a good week 1, didn't he?
He did. He's actually someone I'm looking at to
Wow.
post as a
Okay, maybe
prop.
maybe we take him over Michael Thomas because 24% targets per route run, 3.6 yards per route run.
Four of his 6, I think he had 6 targets total.
Yeah, 5 receptions, 6 targets.
Yeah, 4 of his 6 targets were against cover 3 and cover 6 last week. But take that with a grain of salt because they only
Tennessee is very bad, very bad.
Tennessee only played 10 snaps against that.
Yeah.
Well, playing cover 3 and cover 6 defense. So
Well, you said he had 4 targets versus that, and they only played 10 snaps.
yeah, he only
That's
ran
really good.
7 routes. Yeah,
That's
7
really
routes versus
good.
that. So yeah, that's
I
someone I'm
like
looking
that.
at.
26% air yard share. That's higher than Michael Thomas. Only behind Chris Olave. If we look at,
Well, as you said earlier, he is the slant king, right?
yeah, that's fair. 4.5 yards per out run versus zone, 11 snaps, 11 routes, 3 targets on 3 receptions, and 11 routes run. That's really nice. Him and
Yeah,
him and Chris Olave both had 27.3% targets per route run on 11 snaps per zone. So maybe Shaheed's the way to go.
maybe.
I might. That's
I'm gonna dig more into that research later on today, but
100%. 36.5 receiving yards. That's not bad at all.
yeah. Because
Let's
let me see
check
how
the
many routes
PFF
ran he
matchup.
ran last week.
I can check for you real quick.
Yep.
I think it was like 35. 25.
25. Okay.
35 snaps, 25 routes run. Chris Olave, 30 routes run. Michael Thomas, 33. So it is encouraging that Michael Thomas ran the most routes on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say I'm taking either Thomas or Shaheed in this game for the Saints.
Yeah.
As far as spreads, rookie quarterbacks. So I try to fade rookie quarterbacks, but for whatever reason, during week 1s of seasons, they do pretty well. So expect that like week 2 to 6 or 7, expect them to fall off a little bit. You're giving me the Saints at -3. I think this should probably be a -5.5.
Yeah.
I'd probably take the Saints here. Would you rather have the Saints -3 or the over 39.5?
The -3.
Okay. Yeah, I think we talked. Yeah, it's a small spread, so I don't think
Because
that matters as much.
the Saints are more, I'd say they're leaning more towards pass heavy. But I mean, going against Tennessee, they should have lit them up in the air, and they only managed to put up 16 points, is a little concerning.
Bro, I did not realize that the Browns were only favored by 2 points.
Probably divisional game.
You want to get into that now, or should we keep talking about the Saints Panthers game a little more?
We can get into that game.
All right. Browns, Steelers. I don't know what that -2 is doing there. I'm expecting the Browns to beat the brakes off Kenny Pickett, if I'm being honest. I think Kenny Pickett, like his second season, I think it's going to be fairly decent. But without Deontay, without Pickens, and against a
That's what
Browns,
makes it
like
really difficult.
exactly, and against a Browns defense who just looks absolutely nuts, I can't not say that they're going to win by at least 2 points, especially because it's giving you that key 3 number. Like if it's tied and the
Yeah.
Browns win by a field goal, like that's a key number and they're giving it to you. That's really surprising to me. How do the Browns? How does Stefanski? Is he still there? I forget.
So they beat him by 12 and 14 last year. But that first one with the 12 points was who was their quarterback? Trubisky. Yeah. So But I mean, 12-14 is still pretty close.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns all day in this one.
Yeah.
I think, especially, so this is something that I was looking at before we started the video. So the Browns got a lot of pressure in week 1 against the Bengals, and I don't expect that to stop, especially against the Steelers offensive line, who I don't think they're that great. So I have to go back and find the tab, but Kenny Pickett is not very good versus pressure at all. He's
Yeah.
decent versus man coverage with which the Browns ran a lot, but he is not good against when he's under pressure. So no, that's not what I'm looking for. If I filter for QB pressures and let it load for 2 seconds, he has, come on. He has a 68 passer rating, which is not that bad. But then you go and look at completion percentage, and we're at 53%. If I remove 2023, come on now. We can do better than this. I still can't. I don't know if I'm technically allowed to share my screen for the product that I'm using because it's not like public data.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm just going to say it out loud. If I filter out 2023, so I don't count last week, he had 48 completions on 140 dropbacks where he got pressured over the course of the season. That's good for a 62.4 passer rating. Some other quarterbacks in that area, weirdly enough, Trevor Lawrence and Aaron Rodgers, but then you get Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, Jared Goff. Jared Goff is not that bad. Against pressure, he's awful. And I can tell you that as a Lions fan. You give him a clean pocket, he's a top 5 quarterback. You get any ounce of pressure on him, he shits the bed every time. But 48 completions on 140 dropbacks is not good. 5.2 yards per attempt, not great. So they're going to get pressure on probably like, I guess, 40 to 50% of plays. Steelers allowed 40% of plays to be pressured last week against the Niners, who's also really good at getting pressure to the quarterback. And then the Browns got 45% of their plays with pressure on the Bengals last week. So expect it to fall in that 40 to 45 or maybe even 50% range, since he's probably going to have a hard time with receivers getting open. And I'll stay in the pocket an extra second or so. Not what you want to see. As far as the Browns secondary, they're studs across the board, and they're going against the team again. No Deontay Johnson, no George Pickens. Allen
It's going to be
Robinson.
hard for them to separate.
Exactly. Allen Robinson and Pat Freiermuth are going to be the ones probably leading that receiving core.
Yeah.
They're fine, but I'd feel a lot better about them leading the receiving core if like Mahomes or somebody was behind center and he can help them out. But when they're the ones that have to help the quarterback out, it's not good.
I think Pittsburgh's going to have to rely on their run game because the Browns still have like a below average run defense. But relying on someone like Najee Harris you're asking a lot right there for someone that's very inefficient.
How did he do last week? I didn't get a chance to look at his
Not
stats for
good.
that game. Not good. That's not what I want.
Kyron Williams looked a lot better this week than Najee did last week. I'll tell you that.
What does Kyron Williams have to do with Najee Harris?
Because they both play the 49ers defense.
Okay. That makes more sense. I was like, what are you talking about? I want to see how Deshaun Watson is versus zone, because that's all the Steelers played in week 1. 63% pass completion, 7.5 yards per attempt. Not ideal. Yeah, I don't know that I love that. Let's check air yards. Maybe he was just launching deep balls. No, 8.2 air yards per attempt. Maybe that's why the line is -2, because Deshaun Watson.
Maybe they're missing Amari Cooper. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting how the offense rolls like a whole game without Amari Cooper.
how wasn't this? Am I thinking of last year, the year before, where the Steelers' run defense like couldn't defend me if I was the running back?
I don't know if that was last year. It might have been,
I'm
but
checking because if
I,
it was last year and we got Nick Chubb coming across, no, it was not last year. They only ran 4.3 yards per attempt last season.
I think Nick Chubb is in a good spot, even though like outside of Nick Chubb being him, I think like
He's
schematically he's in a good spot.
what didn't he average like over 5 yards a carry on like 20 plus touches
I
or
think
20
so.
plus attempts last week? That's crazy. So yeah, I put post week 9 for last season, and they're 4.3 yards per carry, which is right around league average. If we look at running back targets, dead last. So honestly, what was Nick Chubb's receiving use? I'm pretty sure Nick Chubb's receiving usage was pretty good last week, wasn't it?
It was very good.
Against the Bengals. Did the Bengals give up? No, the Bengals do not give up that much to running backs. Because I might consider taking it as, oh, whoa, never mind. So even though the Steelers barely gave up any targets to running backs, they did give up the most yards per reception at 9.5 running backs. So if you pick what you want, if you think the Steelers don't allow him to catch many passes, you take his under receptions. If you think the Steelers give him room to make plays, that 9.5 yards per reception plus Nick Chubb's efficiency probably shows up. He probably covers some of those lines.
Yeah.
Let's check his. Nick Chubb had ran routes on 34% of pass plays and had a 15% target share. Solid. For context, Saquon had a 14% target share week 1. ETN had 16%. Trying to look who else was high. Tyler Algier, 17.6. 35.3 for Bijan. Jesus, Desmond Ritter. McCaffrey, 15.4. Dalvin Cook, 17.6. So let's check what the line's at, and then we'll decide how we feel about Nick Chubb receiving. 12.5 receiving yards. That is not bad at all.
At all.
It doesn't have his reception sign on Prize Picks, but if we check out where the books are leading, gives us an idea. So books have heavy juice on him to get exactly 2 receptions. Let me share my screen on StatMuse. We can look at Nick Chubb, at least 2 receptions logged. Career. So his line's 12.5. He's hit that in pretty almost every game. He has. Should we go through and count it?
You probably put it in chronological order, right?
Yeah. But I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Because he's
7.
played a lot of games.
14 or 14 here.
Because this is going all the way back to 2018.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So we're at 27 out of, I'm going to guess 33. Where'd my mouse go? Here we go. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So 27 of 34 games where he's gotten at least 2 receptions. He's gone over that receiving yards line. He's juiced under for just under 2.5 receptions on books, but like we always say, if it's it's probably going to be juiced over 1.5 receptions at like minus 150 as well. I don't think DraftKings has an alt receptions line. If I do single game parlay, maybe it lets me. Let's check. Receiving props. Nick Chubb. No, doesn't let me. All right, never mind. We don't get alt receptions for Nick Chubb. But yeah, if you think he's getting 2 receptions, go ahead and take that receiving yards line.
Yeah.
That's the gist. With the Steelers playing heavy zone and Amari Cooper being out, Elijah Moore is a good look, but I don't know how much I trust that yet. Can we check? I'll check his work after Amari Cooper went down yesterday. 2023 teammates not on field. Amari Cooper.
I don't think he played too many snaps without him.
Didn't he get injured like early second half?
Yeah. I think he only missed like a drive or two. He came back in that game.
Well, I know Elijah Moore got decent work when he was off the field because I saw people talking about that in some discords, like some sharp discords, not the Prize Picks Discord or anything like that.
I hate that Discord so much.
No, dude, it's a cancer. Nick Chubb had, wow, in 6 routes without Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb had 3 targets and 3 receptions for 15 yards. That's interesting. Let's check 2022. And let's check Deshaun Watson on the field. What did I just do? All right. So counting last year and this year, Nick Chubb has ran 17 routes without Amari Cooper, 4 targets, 3 routes. But that means he went 1 target, 0 receptions, 11 routes last season. So maybe that's not as nice. Elijah Moore, 8 routes, 1 target, 0 receptions. So I don't know whoever said that in that Discord, but that was false information. So yeah, never mind. Not as much of an edge there as I thought there was going to be. I don't really. I hate the Browns, dude. I feel like even going back to last year, there was never much props I found an edge on.
Yeah.
Like
There's a
really
reason
just
why I
Nick
like the
Chubb or
Saints
nothing.
game more. Yeah.
It's just Nick Chubb or nothing. I honestly, I take that -2 and call it a day if you're on books, if you're on Prize Picks. I don't know if I'm going to play it myself, but Nick Chubb receiving yards is probably your best option. I can't trust Deshaun Watson yet. He's shown the most inconsistency I've ever seen out of somebody who's supposed to have the role that he's supposed to have. Amari Cooper's out. What is Elijah Moore's line? Before we.
I think he had like 43 yards last time I checked last night.
43, that's a bit high for me. DPJ's at 34.5. Elijah Moore, 41.5.
Okay.
Marquise Goodwin, 13.5. Wait, Marquise Goodwin? That might be a good look. Hold on. Last game, I think he had, where is it? 4 routes, 2 targets, 0 receptions. So 2 targets is promising.
Yeah.
Oh, 43 air yards per target. Bro, that's 1 completion. You're telling me 13.5 yards?
Yep.
I don't care if it's only 4 snaps. That's 50% target percentage per route run. How many snaps was Amari Cooper off the field for? It looks like 10, because that's DPJ had the most routes with Amari Cooper out, and he's at 10. DPJ had 1 target. Wow, this is so spread out. So, in those, what looks like 10 snaps, hold on. Let's do this. This is how we can get a better idea. So, Amari Cooper was off the field for pulling it up. He was off the field for 12 pass attempts. In those 12 pass attempts, Nick Chubb, 3 targets, Marquise Goodwin, 2 targets, Njoku, 2 targets. Does that add up? Yeah, it does. Harrison Bryant, 2 targets, and then Akins, Moore, and DPJ all had 1 target. So it looks like they're going to be targeting between the hashes and down the field. It doesn't
Yeah,
look like they're targeting the outside that much. Deshaun Watson, against the Steelers defense, you can probably let one rip.
definitely.
Let me check which, because I know they played heavy zone. Let me check. They played. No, that's Brett. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. The Browns played 35% cover zone. So did the Saints. Cover one. That's
Cover
super.
one.
The
Okay.
league the league average is 17.8. So they're
Yeah, because it shows
20%
they
above
played.
average.
The Browns played 74% single high coverage. So yeah,
So that's super high. By the way, I'm thinking you said 74%.
yeah.
I think they're counting cover three as a single high coverage because that's the
I
only
mean,
way that number's that high. Because we're the reason I'm talking about it now is me and JJ were talking about it yesterday going into which game was it? Patriots game.
mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason that I brought that up out of nowhere.
Well, because I mean, you can run a lot of different formation, a lot of different coverages out of single high and two high.
Yeah,
It's just you adjust post snap going into whatever coverage you want.
but what was I looking at? Steelers. Did they run a lot of? I think they ran a lot of cover three. Steelers ran 51.5% cover three, good for fifth highest in week one. I think that would have been second highest if you look at all of season or the 2022 season. That's that and cover two are the only ones that they ran above average, and cover two is only by 6%. So, dude, I kind of like Marquise Goodwin because even last season, bro, he was on. Am I thinking of the same Marquise Goodwin that was on Seattle last season? I'm not tripping, right?
It should be.
He was big value last season. They kept putting him at like 17 and a half receptions, and he'd get that in like the first half. So different quarterback, but I'm curious to see what his numbers were versus that coverage last season. I'll share my screen so you guys. Oh, I already shared it. Nice. We're looking at. Let's go
Yeah,
to
he played Seattle
2022.
last year.
Okay, because I know there was a good one that played for Chicago. Couldn't remember which was which for a second.
He played at Chicago as well the year before that.
Okay, that's what it is. All right, so he had 14.3% targets per route run overall. Let's check cover three, cover two. It goes up to 15%, nothing crazy. 1.8 yards per route run, 11.3% air yard share, 18.2 yards per reception, though. So he really needs one reception because I wouldn't be surprised if it was a lot of the same last week. 43 air yards on 6 snaps or on 2 targets. 43 yards per attempt, sorry. That means there's no way, now that I think about it. Dude, that's 96 air yards on 2 passes.
Well, I mean, he is
43
a
air yards per
speedster.
target. Still, though, bro, he had to launch that twice in 12 attempts. That just seems like any play where a guy's going to be on the field because of an injury and he only needs one play to cash just feels like it makes too much sense. What was I looking at for the Browns again? I forget.
For the Browns, weren't you just looking at Goodwin?
Oh, maybe. I think those were the only snaps that he played.
Yeah, he only played 7 snaps.
Oh no, he's not even on here.
But where did you filter it for?
Oh, cover three and cover two. That's why. Bro, he is not on here.
All right. Well, on fantasy points,
I'm
they
looking at
showed he played
2022.
2022.
That's why I couldn't
Okay.
find it. So 10 snaps, 2 targets, and 85 air yards. He almost led the team in air yards despite running 8 routes. Were there any big plays? Did the Steelers give up big plays last week
Last week I gave up a
against the
couple
Niners
to
to Ayuk?
Ayuk, I believe.
I wonder what coverages they were running when that happened. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's look at week 1. 49ers. Where's San Francisco? Here we are. And cover 3 and cover 2. I think Goodwin plays out of the slot, by the way. I can check. Or actually, can you check on that while I'm pulling this up?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Beautiful. So last week versus cover 3 and cover 2, Debo led the charge as expected. 26.7% targets per out run, 40% target share. That's really good. 53% target air yard share. That's super nice. Did he actually connect on those? Brandon Ayuk, 19 yards per reception. Debo, 13 yards per reception. Brandon Ayuk, 29 air yards. If you had 29 air yards, 38 receiving yards, that's solid.
Yeah, so Goodwin, he played majority outside.
Majority outside?
Yeah, it says 75%.
Let's say out wide. So yeah, all of no, not all. Oh, never mind. So versus that cover 3 and cover 6, it seems like all of Debo and Ayuk's work versus those coverages came on the slot because in the outside, neither of them did a thing.
I mean, they didn't really have to do much anyways.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a coincidence that all 7 receptions came from somebody in the slot rather than on the outside. Something to keep an eye on.
Probably just a 49er scheme mostly.
Yeah.
Because Purdy doesn't really throw the ball down the field like that.
I'm telling you, he's Jimmy G 2.0.
Oh, he is.
But yeah, I'd say, okay, in that case, Chubb receiving yards, Goodwin receiving yards. I'd take both of those. Last thing I want to look at before we move on to the Steelers is the snap share when Cooper was out. If it'll let me. Actually, I'll just do this. Offensive snaps. So there's 27 total snaps with Amari Cooper off the field. 15 of those were run plays, 12 of those were pass plays. Guess it doesn't want to show me Marquise Goodwin. Oh, here we go. It was just there. So he only had 6 offensive snaps, 4 routes, 2 targets with Amari Cooper off the field. That's actually not that promising if he only had 6 snaps out of the 27. Donovan Peoples-Jones played 23 of the 27 snaps. Njoku, 20 of the 27. Elijah Moore, 12 of the 27. So might just have to fade the whole thing.
Yeah, I hate that game so much. As far as like prop betting.
Yeah, no, it's not a fun one. I just realized I forgot to change the banner to Browns Steelers. All right, guys, if you guys didn't know by now, we're talking about the Browns and Steelers game. Yeah, I think it's Nick Chubb receiving yards and nothing else. On the Steelers side, I might be playing a Pickett under completions prop. The only thing that worries me is it's going to be a negative game script.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to what would he have to get? 19? Oh, 19 is really low.
That is.
Like, that's not even a 60. Is that 65%? 18.5 over 30.5. That's 60.6%. I mean, that's about where I expect his completion percentage to be. So, yeah, I might have to stay away. 1 touchdown is kind of ridiculous here. For his touchdown line is 1.0 on Prize Picks. So there's that. Maybe you take that. Somebody said Deshaun Watson over 25.5 rushing yards. Is that a good play? JJ, do you know whether he runs more when he's under pressure or when he's not under pressure?
I do not know.
I can check real quick. Sometimes this website does not give me what I want. Or let's look at scramble percentage. That's better. No, it's not on here. I know that it's been kind of a wagon for Watson rush attempts or rushing yards. I know people were on it last game. I want to see how he did versus division games specifically, because those are trends I like to look at. Which division is that again?
AFC North.
North. So, and let's go rush yards. And share. So don't look at the red because that's when he was with the Texans. Last year versus AFC North. 33 versus Cincy, 22 versus Baltimore, 44 versus Pittsburgh, 45 versus Cincinnati again. Let's just look at all teams instead of. So, yeah, 25.5. He's hit it in pretty much four of the last 7 games. Did he only play 6 games last year? Why did I think it was more?
I
thought it was like
probably
8.
about what he played.
Oh, never mind. So he hit in every divisional game and then missed in. No, he missed versus Baltimore. Hit versus Washington. I don't know. I'm usually picky about my quarterback rushing props. When I take it, I really like it, but I don't. I really just say, yeah, you should run for it, which is kind of how I feel about Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah.
Pickett pass attempts. It's tough because I don't think he's going to have a good game, but they're probably going to be losing, so I don't hate it either.
It'll be a positive game script for him.
Yep. And then Young over on pass attempts. I think they kind of lean on Miles Sanders a little more. It's just whether he's going to be involved more in the screenplay or just a typical running offense. I'd probably stay away from it. I took Bryce Young in a little sneak bet last week because rookie quarterbacks tend to do well in week 1, but that like week 2 to 6 or 7, I like to either stay away from them or take their unders. Outside of that, so do we have anything on the Steelers side that we like?
As of right now,
I know you're going to want to say Najee unders, but I can't imagine his lines are that high.
No, I don't want to touch him at all.
Did Joe Mixon get a lot of receiving work week 1 or no?
I think he did.
Because Najee receiving yards could be a good look. How did he do last week? Only 2 receiving yards last week? That's not ideal. I thought George Pickens was out.
They still have his prop up?
They have his combined prop with Najee up.
What about on the books?
Let's find out.
Prize Picks doesn't honor their mistakes anyway, so.
No, they don't have it on DraftKings. How did the Saints do against Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears last week? Miles Sanders is looking tempting.
Let me see.
Because the Panthers want to use the play action. That was one of the biggest things I got from that Atlanta game.
Hmm.
The most success they found was when they were using play action and they were getting those tight end crosses when the defense would bite on Miles Sanders. But for that to work, they have to establish a running game, and if they're going to do that, Miles Sanders has to get his work.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely feed him tonight. Derrick Henry had 15 carries for 63 yards, which is 4.2 average. And then Spears had 3 carries for 27 yards with a long of 17.
Okay. I might just take his rushing receiving, honestly, because I need to look into it more, but when me and A1 ran a space, for those who don't follow Millie, he hopped in there too, and he gave a great pitch for Miles Sanders receiving yards. Just the basis of the pitch was that he wasn't on the Eagles anymore, and that's like the Eagles were the reason he wasn't getting much receiving work, but he's very capable of it. And the read ended up being spot on. Not only was Miles Sanders receiving, but they were designing screenplays and pass plays for him. So I would want to get a piece of that receiving work. Not ideal that it should probably be a few yards lower than 79.5, but I mean, like, I'm not expecting to finish between 76.5 and 79.5 anyways. So I do like that 79.5 rushing receiving yards. I'd either take that or the receiving yards on the Carolina side.
I agree.
14.5 rush attempts, 12.5 receiving yards, 79.5 rushing receiving. I like everything for Miles Sanders. So I'll look into it more and do a write-up if I decide to bet on it, and I'll post obviously, but that's looking like it's very, very likely. Brandon gave a comment that helped us out too. Head coach Frank Reich wasn't lying. Miles Sanders' volume week 1 was the 4th best of his career. 18 carries, 72 yards, 6 targets, 4 catches, 26 yards. Finished only behind Austin Eckler. That makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
Miles Sanders is a great look. Especially the other thing is primetime games finish under a lot of the time. Sometimes it's just because it's two teams that can't score. A lot of times it's just because they're slower paced games. Like last night was a very slow paced game. So for slower paced games to happen, it's usually because the run game is being used a lot. And if that happens, Miles Sanders enters the chat. He also asked, since he gave that great recommendation, I feel like we should answer his question. Freiermuth receptions, I like it. It's one of those. It's
He
just like
should
the
be utilized a lot.
Yeah, it's like the Hawkinson play that smacked on Thursday night. The Cleveland secondary is solid. Their defensive line is solid. Kenny Pickett's going to want to play in between the hashes, most likely. Pickens is out. Deontay's out. So it's really going to be Freiermuth and Allen Robinson. Freiermuth's going to be the safety blanket when he gets pressure, which is going to be a lot of the time. Freiermuth receptions is a good look. It's something that I might look into as well. For whatever reason, I'm like allergic to playing Freiermuth no matter how good it looks. I think the one time I played it last season where I was like, all right, I'm giving in. I'm playing it, screw it. And then he ended up cooking me with he went over on one of the last plays of the game and then it was called back for holding and he missed. And I was like, I'm never touching it again. But yeah, Freiermuth's receptions is solid. That might be the only thing I'd play on the Steelers side. I don't want to touch Pickett. I don't want to touch Najee or Warren because I don't know what their snap shares are going to look like anymore. Maybe Allen Robinson, depending on if his lines are low enough. What is it? 31.5 receiving yards, 5 targets. That's not bad at all. To get 5 targets on what's likely going to be 30 attempts, he only needs a 16% target share. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Let's check Freiermuth. Does he have a receptions propped up? Freiermuth 5.5 receiving targets, 3.5 receptions. Those are low. He got one reception that last week. That's why. One reception on 4 targets. No, I like that. So, Muth receptions, Allen Robinson targets are probably the only 2 plays on the Steelers side. On the Browns side, Goodwin receiving yards, Chubb receiving yards. And then in this Panthers-Saints game, Raheem Shaheed or Michael Thomas receiving yards. Miles Sanders rush receiving yards. All over. We need to get some unders in here, man. We can't be doing this. We're sharper than this.
It's going to
Bryce
take a little
Young.
bit more time.
Bryce Young in a primetime game is tough, dude.
Yeah.
But his lines are low. Like, they know what they're doing. 17.5 pass completions, 28.5 pass attempts. How many people are going to be smashing that, thinking that it's like,
There's
too.
going to be a
It's
lot of
too.
people.
Yeah, man. 20 receiving yards or rushing yards week 1, but I'm pretty sure that all came on one play. 189.5 passing yards, and he wasn't even close in week 1, which rookie quarterbacks tend to do better in than week 2. I'm staying away with
I'm staying
pleasure.
away.
Pickens is on books now, bro. I could have sworn I saw a report that he wasn't playing.
Maybe something's changed.
Yeah, 43.5 receiving yards. Okay, never mind. Don't take Muth and round robins. Let me check. Did Rappaport tweet something? Let's see. People are so excited about Kenny Pickett today. Pittsburgh official prediction: George Pickens 3 touchdowns, 162 yards. Yeah, I don't see any reports on him right now.
That's interesting.
All right, so yeah, stay away from everything Steelers. Just go ahead and take Browns -2 and call it a day in that game. I'm not playing. I don't know if I'm gonna. I'll probably play one prop on the Browns side. I'm definitely not playing anything on the Steelers side. Actually, Kenny Pickett under first half is tempting. Not gonna lie. Because then we don't have to worry about the positive game script.
Yeah.
It's gonna be way more neutral. Can I see which half on this website? I don't think I can. Let's check time left. Time to regulation. All right, here we go. 30 minutes. I want to see what his yards per game were. Oh, let's go passing. Yards per game. Here we go. Now we're talking. So Kenny Pickett first half last season. It's not on here. Lovely. Let's go filter for Mike Tomlin. All right, here we go. 100.7 yards per game in the first half last season. And then if we go second half, no results found. What? Why does this site does not like? Maybe I did something wrong here. I think this 0. All right, I think I got it figured out. No, I didn't. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to filter this for first half and second half. But yeah, if you're gonna play a Steelers prop, I think the only one I'd play, and I don't even think I'm gonna put any of my money on it, is Pickett first half under passing yards. In the Panthers game, Miles Sanders rushing, receiving. Don't think I'm touching Bryce Young. His lines are low for a good reason. I would have taken his unders if his lines were any higher. On the Saints side, Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas. I'm not going to play Chris Olave or Derek Carr. Both of them seem to weirdly do bad against zone, but now Olave has a new quarterback. Derek Carr has a new offensive coordinator with new weapons. The previous data is not very substantial enough to take the unders, and then there's not enough new data to make any new conclusions either. Somebody said I'm loving the under on Chark receiving yards. Here's my issue with Chark receiving yards. He's a deep player. He loves
threat.
to win deep.
Yeah.
Deep threat. Yeah, he loves to win deep. So, and I talked about how the Panthers want to form play action offense. So all it takes is one safety to bite, and then Chark just needs one play. So depending on one play, obviously, it makes the under more likely.
Did he even play last week?
No, he was injured last week.
That's what I thought. Okay.
But if he's all he needs is one look. It just takes one mistake from a defender, and then it fits right into his play style. And you can say that about any player, but like I said, that's literally Chark's entire role. Is just you're going to run straight every single play. We just need it to work once, and you'll get 50 yards. So, yeah, I think that's it. This went a lot longer than we expected, so we'll probably do the week 2 recap tomorrow. How does that sound?
It's good with me.
All right, last time. This is not our official list. This is just kind of what we talked about on this stream. You'll see our official list on Twitter. You can see our tags on the, what's it called? The ticker down below.
Ticket, yeah.
And the links will be in the description as well. But in the Panthers game, Sanders rush receiving, Thomas and Shahid over receiving yards, Saints -3. And then in the other game, Steelers-Browns, Pickett under first half passing yards, Nick Chubb over receiving yards at 12.5, and who was the last one? Marquise Godwin over 13.5 receiving yards.
Marquise Godwin is these are things that we're eyeing, not officially yet.
Yeah, so if you want to wait to see what we're putting our money on, wait until we post on Twitter. This is just what we've talked about so far on the stream. So, good luck Monday Night Football. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will likely be doing a stream at 2 p.m. So, live stream at 2 p.m. I'll be playing 2K. I'll be doing research. You guys can come up and talk and give out your props. You can ask me questions, whatever you guys want. You're more than welcome to join. I'll be doing them every day. So, good luck today. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're at, I think, 125 subscribers now. Again, just the start of a lot of great stuff. So we're doing streams and we're doing videos and live streams right now, but we're going to be incorporating more, especially as the NBA season comes along. So stay tuned. Appreciate all the love and support. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Good luck on Monday. Show some love to JJ. Helping me out with these every day. Love it. Take care, everybody.
Let's have a good Monday.